the first to know in Nsem-Pii TV.
Supreme Court atnase ninyina the case between the Speaker of Parliament and a majority versus majority leader Yera Alexander Kwamena Afenyo Markin Meno Eka say the Attorney General and the deputies wonyina etimi atnase and afi Urban Semana Council Bagman lawyers and so etimi akwa kopiemu ewo ho assembly no eguso ekoso ne yadi nka first break esan eko second break Urban Semana Council Bagman lawyers etimi abawon kodu etimi awie sanso na yura Godfred Jeboa dame enso etimi abone kodu etimi awie na Jebeka initially nyanka Urban Semana Council Bagman lawyers epese enka yetimi ayi judge 5 panel member judges na won etese no yedi baako emfirim no na chief justice nso di 2 justice krache aha de oba o be detective de enye ntra yo yan ene e betra de because aha enye mrahye bedwafie na enye asem kotoa atemuo no aba anase enyama yenkoni enkotie
sorry mapoana
yempon ye nemum ye break kakra because ye study case ni down a different panel never betina say na omaka ensem foforo nemum omo pejo mu na atemuafo num sit on afenyo marking NPP caucus mrahye bedwafiem ne speaker ensem attorney general ensem no mobadia na no na ebehu say enipa numa chief justice kan ho bi no den asem no mo de be want to see the make say ye go break and break we a second break ayako first break and away etosumi no ayako second break
amana answer na break ni beba no omoka ko sisen
obo bi mamenda wasi ne tie nyina ne say the first break kransa ne ye be ko no na second one we ababa mamemfa emfi ase wo so the first break ayi fi ase ye first sem na pe and a lawyer title sorry I will know any lawyer ni edema Speaker of Parliament Urban Semana Council Bagman wono ebo ni dim Sarah enso na lawyer abedu enso ebo ni dia wono na ejinem edi ama plaintiff no eno echi no na Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfrey Yeboah dame enyo no kwa na wa ene Attorney General mi ensa ni nyina asona ba abena da power ha danso na Alfred Tua Yeboah enso na wa ha Attorney General mi ensa ye wo na omina e wo kotia na no na sakra na sem no ye be fi ase kwekam na Attorney General so ni taje owo ye friend preliminary legal objection then cat I find it ye speaker na lawyer for the silence and do what we say e be against the answer e be kase ye so ka sane e di ka o say cat language because parliament e man na lawyer for the silence for the trial o say bi o wa ye be kase e ya temdidi entwe enkoyi na ba kwa wo kan wasem kese pa ne say as a speaker ka ache court no say chief justice inni masem ni hubi ase ye di kan na betina se susu hu kura deda ntin krata ne ba ya pe na woji edituma sa ex party application na omde ba yen enu achi Attorney General Sanchez said speaker nkasa ye mo nam na lawyer for so try ne che say say chief justice and the ones Sunday decision say ebia stay of execution no make yen say ebia and say ebia madia na obeka say Chief Justice any Supreme Court at the Mwafo ni nyina no they say yebeka say omodo mwakwa kodon amanoku bi obeka say a partisan and na omodo mwakwa kodon amanoku bi eno na ebra Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah dame e de sansem we tu ewie ye no title sorry a lawyer ni e de Speaker of Parliament sorry General say baby we enye scandalous bi ase de yebeka say etiatia court ne fa anwodie so e na odidi court na tema na say we bu court na nimsan de bi o secret e bia a chief justice asheye a court Speaker of Parliament in China and no king kan ya speaker so catch and say trosa nsem efabra eni ti say nei e idea say Attorney General ka say well speaker bu court na nim tia or the court na metwitwi form dia o say no kra bia eni sa ensem nim na no na first break in the court no sorry ko mu omo baaye na speaker chief justice oba penny Gertrude Araba Toko no say baby sans semana wo mo keka eni nyina ko the ruling eba na ruling o de ba ene che se debi adwuma na wo mo ye e Supreme Court ho no constitutional matter 1992 Ghana ya mamra no ho bra na ye bo we enye NDC na enye NPP nti say enye political matter na we a constitutional matter. The second argument epeja wo mu ebio otemuafo na so enum no emu baako Justice Eric Gawu ono na lawyer ni edema speaker lawyer side say papa na ote ho say Supreme Court otemuafo can be or say former parliamentary candidate edema NPP amayuku enti panel no oteso no omompe yenyi ni every panel no so and also ebram penifo enumi ebaye Chief Justice say Supreme Court yenya temuafo bia na ebi PNC for omo betena so ye adwuma na obi so NDC ni obetena so ye adwuma into we ka say it's neither here nor there say obi can be yes say na contest say NPP parliamentary candidate into ni MPP into sansem so ye botu afi NSA o move application na o move yen lawyer side of engineer point mako and 9 so point 1 purchase no cre sa inkrata expatia afenyo markens de buy ni nyina enya so bi anim anka ba bia se so de na ni kire nyina ye high court esan said court no ya hwehwe ne such a way say o bibia wo ha obi wo amane bi na pese kokota unim ba bia wo ko na mum untutu mampa America na sometime Supreme Court and ababegina enu achi o say article 97(1) G&H ya akofa menti me wase da were twen nyina aban anka no so ebekwa kowie ekowie wo high court na high court and constitution ankasa cheche high court no dwumadi a esese omuba begi o se ne etosu bi eye ne nwanwa pa se ene speaker ono ne ruling na omaye ewo Parliament House on a big Supreme Court say yeah must stay of execution and not just said the speaker no and man who quite prefer say no no any constitutional issue and no so any Supreme Court and say High Court and the man or on the floor of Parliament and the Becca so didn't and your boys prefect and as a class rep it is some Marana was share say any pan na ya should be the phone almost from a kunyan to a yanel a kunyan or see a ni wa etia ne speaker nti na wanwa pa se ene Chief Justice so etena se na expert no odina so ka se ne speaker yen stay ko se ye beka ansem nyina ewie na owie na lawyer abedu a wono gina mediama plaintiff no so ekasa na o chese no kwe ne speaker ka ne nyina yabi emra ne nkyeresa nemum emra ne kyerɛ sɛ expert na afenyo markets de buy eno no ano no sanse sɛ nipa nan ya mrahye bedwafo sɛ ya ma ɔmo kwan sɛ ɔmo nkoso ntina mrahye bedwafie ma ɛde how beba ɔmo mpɛsia so fo no ɔmbɛyɛ de no manya nsuo ɔmbɛyɛ de no manya nkane a nti ɔse ɔmo ntwɛn enkosi sɛ yɛbɛka sɛ ne nyinaa wie ɛno nti no mba expert ni sɛ near Supreme Court and so and I'm not quite so pepe. On should be a Attorney General, Attorney General, so Casayemu, near what can you say, or no, you and from so be Supreme Court, say or day, they ruling no a buy, and I say, of execution a buy, minimum in Casaya, speaker, and I'm the lawyer for a show at the bar court, and no, say any. Now, all Casana and a Chief Justice catcher and say, all fancy mumra essence or no and a Ghana Marano, a Kurana, or church Ghana Ebrim, Attorney General, and all catch Ghana for an answer or for the benefit of the data, Ghana for the Duana 80 Angel 102.9 FM on Chechim or say a brown no be a Chief Justice pen, and no who say and crass Adawa, a walk quire faso, a coco servo, a Rashibika for, or say Speaker of Parliament and Casatone and Safreno, and in a quatnase, no who's answer Shayano, and no G2 who say any, a quine ben so I have faso near the ye, said ye, Mranich say, O be come Rashibik film, and also be PF Rashibik film, no yem Rashibik Jania, yen 7 or Quanson, and Shaya Ben, and yes, or say another name, suma or this answer could lano, a call say, any a Juvada. And yes, you say, Yanko Sevo, Rashibigafo. Nancy said, a be ya Fabrunia home, Harry and Cracasses. Many of Bobby, a whole any edit, dance seminal aquaco war. I will be making the argument every at a more phone, no, sorry. Omo bar, and you don't say, 10 years speaker can ye, now you stay ye, now Obu so, and answer well muso, and answer a Nippon Naya, a article 97(1) G&H ya, Aquafa da with a chair, maintain once a bit raban. And there are some at the Pestry Muaba, and the Supreme Court of the Canon, and you be whom say, Nina, a tweaker. And I say a twin child will be best line about review and answer appeal.
Enti ama se meti da okan ni ye dia na ye se ne kwata yebehu asem no pomesi bre
omo bi se bibia nsesan oma sorry so omo kwakofa ruling naban ebetimi aba so ombeba no mo de date keka ba abeka se ebia otene ya wada efiada na momra na momaji ruling no ananse ye ma date foforo bi se momra but se ne omo kasa ye no ene obi a making argument ne de meje de se omo be ma ye ruling na mom ebia reasons ntia omo conclude ekosi ho no omo ka se echire no ye beba aba beje no ka se court why ma Supreme Court why ma papa one way na so resema ba ku mienu abekwa ban na why a lawyer for no so aba begum eba betie from wo de mrahye bedwafo a mehu om dodo na no NPP kokos no afenyo markings wa ene owura jogati ene wa so na lawyer tade papa eneja wa se ne wigi eti akonyama wono no lead team na ejinam ediama plenty no enti lawyer afenyo markings ono aye lawyer ni ene ne lawyer wo jinam amano owura bedu ena jogata will be anim say first na oye railway minister ni aden ene oye lawyer ni mapa court dem court wa abobe oba bonten so a menua aposifu egu ha no meka se me hu aposifu bi wa ha democracy hub for na bra ye de wo moban na aposifu a egu ha no enya aposifu keto wo munyi na ehwe aboban masunji aba me no ka se lawyer atachia eni mpanifo ni bi ena apie edi asia bonten afenyo marking so pie afena o san eremu wo ha mpanifo dodo na abepie
notice that indeed that issue is actually one of the issues set out by the second defendant for determination. The second defendant does the Attorney General file issues for determination in this matter, and those are issues raised in the for determination by the court. Especially, indeed, the application completely misunderstands and misconceives the Supreme Court's original decision. And I made the point that, indeed, the court would notice that Article 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution constitutes the principal mechanism, with all respect, for enforcing the Constitution. And in examining Article 2, Clause 1, I pray the court not to look only at the article, but to even read it with Article 3, Clause 1 of the Constitution. Article 3 of the Constitution, Article 3, the whole of Article 3 of the Constitution, imposes a duty on all citizens to defend the Constitution at all times. Respectfully, there is no better mechanism for defending the Constitution by seeking an interpretation of the Constitution whenever a provision of the Constitution is in contention or a controversy has arisen in respect of that provision. Clearly, the meaning of Article 97, Clause 1, paragraphs J and H, as advanced by my learned friend, Counsel for the First Defendant, in which he says are clear, have been contradicted by the plaintiff in this case. And indeed, I have also duly filed a civil case in it, and totally his understanding, with all respect, is wrong. There cannot be a more demonstrable case for a controversy as having arisen in respect to the provision of the Constitution than the instant case. But indeed, my respectful submission is that indeed it will be a recipe for chaos, lawlessness, and a danger to the security of the state for a person to contend that merely on account of his own understanding of the Constitution, which he says are clear, a writ issued duly invoking the decision of the Supreme Court has to be set aside. That would be the basis for lawless conduct. And this honorable court owes a duty not to encourage it. I'm fortified in this proposition by the locus classicus on the matter before an Attorney General reported in 1980 Grand Law Report at page 637. It is where the Supreme Court stated clearly that whenever a controversy has arisen in respect of a provision of the Constitution, it is a basis for the application of the court's original decision. Respectfully, the points I make today are not points being sought to be established today. They are matters that have been long established 40 years ago in this honorable court. I quote from page 650 of the provision. And indeed, it was also a controversy regarding a decision by Parliament. Parliament has actually made a decision to subject the Chief Justice of the Republic to vetting. The Chief Justice had also even acceded to that process. The Supreme Court said that, notwithstanding the Chief Justice's decision, insofar as that decision was unconstitutional, it could form the side matter of the original decision of the Supreme Court. But the court stated that there's a controversy regarding the status of the incumbent Chief Justice, the termination of which depends upon an interpretation of the Constitution. Once there's a controversy, a justiciable issue, we believe that under the wing of interpretation as contained in paragraph A of clause 1 of Article 118, the court has vision to entertain the issue raised by the plaintiff's right, and the plaintiff is thus properly before the court. And respectfully, the court went ahead to make the point that in a constitutional action, the community of interest is with the Constitution. There's really no such thing as a plaintiff and a defendant, and therefore the rates which mention some members of Parliament, there must be a demonstration of an interest in them. There's no such thing as that. Indeed, the plaintiff, with all respect, could have omitted reference to any member of Parliament and have just stated a question for determination by the court whether upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 97, Clause 1, paragraphs J and H of the Constitution, a seat of a member of Parliament becomes vacant upon the occurrence of A and B. And that is it. And the court would have been seized with their decision. My lady, the first defendant makes reference to an alleged denial of the right to a hearing on the time pattern by the filing of a motion party. My respectful quick answer is that indeed the law even envisages such a procedure, and there cannot be a denial of any natural justice, right to natural justice, in the court entertaining an application for application ex parte. But if indeed it was the case that whenever a motion ex parte is brought, there is a denial of the right to a hearing, then indeed the court ought to scrap from its procedures and rules motions ex parte. This submission is totally incongruous, totally offensive to the long or the age-old practice in this honorable court. Respectfully, I would respond to the contention made by my learned friend that there was an understanding of the CJ with the Speaker of Parliament and all that. I will not seek to even go into the merits of the understanding. But the point must be made constitutionally.
No, hold on, please.
Right.
I think that for the benefit of the public
right,
of this nation,
right,
it is important to address the facts behind that matter.
Right.
SBB did, because there had been a circular in 2021 to regulate service for members of Parliament. And indeed, the Speaker of Parliament invited me as Chief Justice to discuss the return to that regulation. So I reviewed what my predecessor did, and I issued a circular. If anything, I think your submissions may address the import, the legal import, and nothing more.
Right. Lady, in addressing the legal import of that circular, I would note respectfully that I'm just looking for the circular, that what is paramount before the court in an action of this nature is the proper interpretation of the Constitution. And indeed, as held in before an Procedural, even if, assuming it had written, even if the CJ had written such a letter, for me, with all respect, it's immaterial.
A circular.
The circular, written such a circular, it is immaterial for me. It is a construction of the words of the Constitution that matter. Before Procedural even indicated that the Chief Justice, who had lent himself to the process, which was subsequently pronounced upon as unconstitutional by the court, could not have waived any right whatsoever, because there's no such thing as extra law under the Constitution.